Yes, the liberals are forcibly transitioning our little boys into werewolves. Hi guys, welcome to my series where I'll be recapping all the Twilight movies from beginning to end and giving you my unwarranted opinions. Yes! And today we'll be doing Twilight New Moon. This is the second video of my little Twilight movie recap series, so if you haven't gone and watched the first one, please go and watch it. Also, while you're at it, could you subscribe? We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers, and it would be beautiful if we could hit that number with this video. It helps me do what I do. Anyways, this movie, believe it or not, has just as much horniness, if not more, than the last one, because it actually made me so much more uncomfortable. It kind of freaked me out. So strap in, and here is my Twilight New Moon movie recap. Yes.
Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Government. You hear?
Much like Twilight 2008, this movie begins with Bella reading a diary entry like the Tumblr queen she is. This is giving very much Grimes reading the Communist Manifesto in the middle of Los Angeles.
These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die, like fire and powder.
While she does this monologue, Bella embraces her inner American and terrorizes a local Italian town as she runs through a crowd of bloodied, tampon-hooded figures. It's a bit strange. And once through the crowd, she jumps through a bush and she gets into this prairie where she sees Edward and this old lady. And the old lady is giving her a weird vibe, but Edward's like, hold on, wait a minute. This old lady kind of gets it. You know, she's kind of a freak with it. So the two of them walk over. Bella reaches out her hand and she realizes, oh wait, this is a mirror, and that's me. I'm the old lady, and Edward is still 17. So she's like, oh, this is weird. If you don't turn me now, sir, I'm literally gonna be 70 years old banging you while you're 17, and everyone's gonna think I'm a nonce.
I've never done anything like this before.
Calm down. Look, I'm not a cop. I'm not a cop.
But once she is awake, her father bursts into the room singing happy birthday, which honestly, I do have to pause. I feel bad about spreading a whole smear campaign against this guy in my first video. He's kind of had a redemption arc in my heart, and now I'm seeing him swipe his father card. So maybe father status is reinstated. He's being nice, he's wishing her a happy birthday, and then he jokingly says,
How'd you get so old so fast?
I didn't.
and Bella's like, oh no, I don't that at all. Bella literally takes it as a threat. Like, Bella is so concerned with aging, she's like about to take the substance at this point, because like, Bella, it is fine if you have a wrinkly minge, just deal with it. Cut to Bella pulling up to school in her red truck when she sees her old friend group of humans, and she's like, hey guys, how's your vibe? But you know what? My vibe is not great, because I'm looking over at Angela. What the they done to you? They done up my girl. Like, they full on gave her a badass haircut. Not even badass, it's just bad fucking dick. Like, it's just shit. This haircut is ugly. That's my Shayla. Like, you ruined my Shayla.
My Shayla!
They gave her a fucking Wendy's wig. Like, it is. That haircut is not a haircut created out of love. That is a haircut created out of spite. They wanted to embarrass her. This was a humiliation ritual. But Edward pulls up to save us from this horrible haircut, and he immediately wishes Bella a happy birthday, which immediately sends her down a spiral. She's like, are you kidding me? Another threat from another person about me aging? This is f***ed up. And honestly, I have to say, she is starting to worry me, because this is exactly what I fear those Sephora babies will become. This is weird. And then she makes a joke about how she shouldn't be dating such an old man, which I'm like, oh, if that isn't the fucking truth, because what the hell, Bella? He's 100 years older than you. Did your Neuralink just activate?
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
And then it deactivated right after that thought, because clearly you didn't care. This was a little simple joke, but truth be told, that man should be behind bars. And after that, Jacob pulls up in his little dress to impress wig, and all Bella can muster up is,
Hello, biceps.
what was that, Bella? Hello, biceps? Is that all we can really do? Is that the best we can do, writers? Like, I know for a fact Kristen Stewart's lesbian spirit choked up when she read that on the script, because, ooh, I'm a gay man, I like men, and that even made my asshole clench. Oh, we shouldn't be saying that. Also, it's kind of crazy that Bella just kind of threw Edward off to the side right when Jacob pulls up. Like, she full on just cucked him. Like, Edward is just allowing himself to be cucked by this kid. Like, what was this? I've never seen this behavior from Edward. Edward is usually really overprotective, and now he's just letting this kid take her, and he's just sitting there like a wet dog. You're gonna take it from behind like that, Edward? Dude, what the f***? Moving on, we get to see the next victim of the hair department, and that is Alice. They done my girl too. They ruined another Shayla. Shayla number 2 is gone.
My Shayla!
It is actually what the hair department is doing. In the first movie, we had like fucking swag. Like we had pretty girl swag coming through. And now they gave them all business casual core, and I'm a little bit pissed off about this. And in this scene, Alice gives Bella her birthday gift and a little invitation to be like, hey, you should spend your birthday night at my house instead of spending it with your father, which I'm like, oh, right, okay, Bella, I understand. I did lead like that whole smear campaign against your father in the last movie, but like, he's not that bad. Just spend your birthday night with your father. Like, you don't need to spend it with your high school boyfriend. I'm finding that a little bit disrespectful. Like, your father just started swiping his father card and now you're just throwing him off to the side. It feels a little bit rude as shit. And while this invitation is being presented to Bella, Jasper in the background does this weird fucking Duke ass smile to her. And I find that quite horrifying because what the is that man doing? But then I find out that what he's doing is actually mood controlling, and he's actually just controlling Bella's mood so she'll go to the Cullens home for the party. Like, okay, Jasper, like visually and spiritually, you're like the weirdest motherfucker in this movie. Like, you're freaking me out more than Edward Cullen does.
This is the skin of the killer.
Anyways, cut to class and Bella and Edward are watching Romeo and Juliet. Well, they're not really watching Romeo and Juliet. Instead, Bella and Edward are the couple in the back of the class that are exhibiting far too many signs of PDA, if you will. So they're disgusting, they're perving on each other.
Good night, girl. Hope you had a wonderful day. Hope you sleep so good.
Also have to point out that Edward's face is so white, like it's giving Chappell Roan makeup. I guess everyone's born naked and the rest is drag, and Edward really took that statement far.
A drag queen? A drag queen? I am the queen of drag.
Also, while in class, Edward mentions this group called the Volturi, which is, I guess, some Italian institution, but he doesn't elaborate on it, so we're left thinking, oh, is this just the House of Gucci? We also find out that the Volturi are actually the most powerful group of vampires in the world, and that they love the arts, the drama, and they love laws. In fact, their two most favorite laws are to keep the vampiric existence unknown to humans and to hate humans, which we know that the Cullens have ultimately failed at because they keep their little pet Bella scurrying around their home.
This is for you.
We don't know where they stand with the Volturi at the moment. We also find out that Carlisle was once a part of the Volturi. Also, was no one going to tell me that Vecna was also a Volturi? The fuck? And after dropping this big steamy dump of information on Bella, Bella's like, hey, can you turn me into a vampire because I want to protect you, Edward? And Edward's like, no, I'm not going to do that. You look desperate as shit. And that's embarrassing. Also, I hate how the vampiric turning process is clearly a metaphor for like Bella getting her cave drilled.
I love you so much that I broke every generational curse that my father couldn't break.
It is somehow more disgusting and more perverted than them just saying that she outright just wants to have sex with him. Like, it is so Mormon coded, and I know that Stephenie Meyer is a huge Mormon, and that is okay. It's okay. But just the way that you're writing this weird sex fantasy is starting to make my heart go cold.
I said enough!
And luckily Alice comes in and cockblocks this weird little foreplay and is like, hey, Bella, you came here for the party? Party's downstairs. And this party is such a vibe. It's so cute. It's so beautiful. Everyone's making fun of how Bella's a year older than Edward, and then Bella gets a paper cut. Oh. And this little drop of blood immediately eradicates the vibe of the party. In fact, it eradicates it so much that Jasper goes feral, almost as feral as a straight woman when she sees the gay of Jonathan Bailey, and he lunges right for Bella. But right before it gets to Bella, Edward throws Bella against the wall, smashing a table. And then he stops Jasper, which I'm like, okay, did we really need to actually assault Bella to protect her? Because now she's bleeding even more. Like, there's blood everywhere. And she's in a room full of vampires, so I'm like, she's gonna be a feast. She's gonna be a feastable made by Mr. Beast. And everyone's like, all right, I think I'm going to be sick. Also, I have one query. What happens when Bella's on her period? Because if this is what happens when she has one drop of blood being entered into the room, what happens when she has a whole sea of blood shoveling out of her vagina? Does the entire Cullen family jump at her vagina like FNAF characters? Or does she just not hang out with them in those days? And Carlisle stitches Bella up and has a little conversation with Bella and is like, hey, I know you want to be a vampire, but Edward doesn't want you to be one. Because Edward's a little bit worried about damning your soul to hell.
I have a tail.
Why would you say that?
We then get a montage of Bella at school being depressed because Edward hasn't spoken to her ever since the TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival of it all. But once Bella gets home, she meets up with Edward, who takes her into the middle of the woods, which would mean one of two things. She's gonna get murdered, or even worse, she's gonna get broken up with. Turns out it's a breakup because Carlisle is looking a little bit too young for the age he says he is. So they're planning on leaving Forks, and they're gonna leave their little pet Bella behind because Bella, well, she's not a vampire, and it's a little bit suspicious if they took her with her, because it would be like, well, you're taking the daughter of the cop with you and you think you're gonna get away with that. So they're not gonna take her, even though Bella is like, dude, I have no other aspirations in my life other than sucking your sparkly freaky glow stick. So let her suck it. And he eventually tells her that this is the last time that they'll ever see each other, and that is because he wants to cut her off full cold turkey style, because the two of them will be better off without each other, which is the truth. And when I tell you this heartbreak hit harder than Jake Paul hitting the elderly, oh, it did numbers on Bella. In fact, it did so many numbers on Bella that she decides she can't even make it home. She's going to sleep on the cold, wet floor of the forest. And while sleeping in the middle of the woods, she's being watched by an unidentified creature when all of a sudden a shirtless man comes up, picks her up, and then brings her home, where all the cops are stationed and Jacob is waiting for Bella. So this obviously caused a huge ruckus, but for some reason, no one's pissed off at Bella. This just blows right over. No, this is a waste of police resources. Bella, you will serve time. Cut to Bella sitting in her bedroom, continuing her depression era from October to December, and she's not looking good. She's looking cooked. Like, she is missing that sparkly stick so bad. We also get jump scared by Bella doing whatever this is, which I think is completely unnecessary, Bella. Like, close that god mouth. If I was your father, you'd be on the streets, because I'm not dealing with that.
I ran the streets since I was young. Streets killed me.
And due to this unnecessary screaming, her father is actually kicking her out to Jacksonville, Florida. And honestly, respect, because if my daughter was screaming bloody murder because she lost a baddie on her roster, ooh, I'd kick her to the curb. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about homeless people.
Homeless people in America. The average age being 9 years old, and I don't give a fuck. I don't care about homeless people.
Because what do you mean you are going to scream bloody murder every night about your 100-year-old boyfriend breaking up with you? I'm going to punish you by sending you to Jacksonville because no one wants to and be there. And for some reason, the only thing that keeps the father from kicking her out is that she's got an upcoming hangout with Anna Kendrick, which I'm like, is that really like the one thing that's gonna help save her? Cut to said girls' night out with Anna Kendrick, and the girls are exiting a movie theater after seeing a zombie movie. But Bella couldn't care less because Bella's actually really depressed about Edward. And while walking around the town, she eventually sees the same punks who tried assaulting her in the last movie, and for some reason she has an idea. But then the ghost of Edward past is like, hey girl, don't act on that idea. I don't want you doing any of that stuff. And she decides to go through with her idea, which means, you know, she's going to do something stupid. So Bella decides that she's going to walk up to the men who almost assaulted her in the last movie and then proceeds to get onto their bike, leaving Anna Kendrick, 18-year-old Anna Kendrick, in the middle of the city at midnight. Bella, you are the worst type of friend I've ever seen. You are the biggest pick-me I've ever seen on a silver screen. But Bella eventually comes to her senses and decides, oh, maybe this wasn't a good idea. So she gets off the bike, returns to Anna Kendrick, who then scolds her for being an adrenaline junkie. Thank God someone said it, because this movie was low-key gaslighting me into thinking that Bella's sane. Now that's a crazy statement, because how the that girl meant to be sane? She should be locked up low-key. Cut to Bella driving over to Jacob's place, where we get to witness history being made when we hear Jacob say, "Where the hell have you been, Loca?" And while at his house, she unveils that she has got 2 broken motorbikes that she wants to fix up with him because she wants to dive headfirst into this adrenaline junkie lifestyle. Okay, Bella, I see you, I hear you, but if you want to dive into this lifestyle headfirst, just join the military. No! Get a gun. Don't put this 16-year-old's life in danger because you want to be an adrenaline junkie. She is pissing me off. He is like an innocent 16-year-old. Like, he seems nice. And now you're dragging him into this all because he's got a little bit of a crush on you? You're manipulating that motherfucker. And for the next couple scenes, we get to see Bella use Jacob as a rebound from Edward. So, I mean, I feel bad for the kid. Cut to Bella having another screaming fit about Edward, and honestly, if my kid was doing this, I'd revert back to Catholicism and I would have an exorcism performed on her body. I'm just living that life, classic, but still. Like, I'm calling a priest. This weird. This is not what happens when you break up with someone. Months afterwards too? Bro, this is pathetic. But her father comes in and comforts Bella and is like, hey, low-key, these fits have been happening more infrequently ever since you've been hanging out with the little boy Jacob. Maybe I support Jella. So the father is a big Jella shipper, and low-key I might be too, because so far he's treating her a lot better than Edward does. Granted, I know I've watched the rest of the movie, so I do see what happens, and I'm not that big of a Jella shipper afterwards. Cut to Jacob and Bella driving on the coast of Oregon, and they see a bunch of guys jumping off of a cliff, and Bella's like, ooh, that kind of looks nice, that piques my interest. But Jacob reveals that those boys are actually trying to initiate him into this weird kind of cult group, like they're kind of giving alpha male cult, and we're just gonna call them the boy band. And after seeing the boy band, Bella and Jacob arrive at this weird kind of flatland where they decide that they're going to start riding the motorbikes. And right before riding the bikes, Bella sees Edward's ghost, and Edward is like, stop. And obviously this doesn't stop Bella, and so she starts going full force, and she passes by a bunch of like ghosts of Edwards. It's whatever, it's stupid. And then she hits a rock and then hits the floor. I mean, what the did you think was gonna happen, Bella? Like, you thought you were gonna learn how to motorbike in like a second? So stupid, but I love it. But I love this movie, but it's so stupid. And back at school, Bella decides she's gonna start sitting with her human friend group again, and everyone's really awkward about it, except from the Bo Burnham lookalike. He's the only one that accepts her into the group, really. And I don't like that, because there's something sinister about that man. And the reason why I call the Bo Burnham kid weird is because immediately after sitting next to him, he decides, oh, I'm just gonna ask her out on a movie date, which is like weird. Like, you haven't spoken to her in fucking months, and now you wanna go on a date with her? And then right before that, he literally was nagging her the entire time, being like, I'm so happy you're not anorexic anymore. Oh my God, is this conservative propaganda? Because what is happening right now? You just destroyed her self-esteem just to bring her back up, being like, hey, want to go on a movie date with me? You're lucky to come with me. Which Bella, for some reason, accepts. And Bella's like, yeah, sure, like, I'll go with you. But luckily, Bella doesn't embrace the conservative propaganda, because she turns the date into a polyamorous date by inviting the entire group with her, which everyone declines except from Jacob. So that's beautiful. And along with that, Bella doesn't want to go to the movies just to watch a comedy. She wants to watch action movie or thriller movie, because she's intense, she loves guns, she loves killing people, and she's really into this whole idea of just making her life a living hell.
I can't find my dildo! I've looked everywhere!
Jacob comes along with, and it turns into a little bit of a Challengers vibe, where Bella is sitting in the middle of Bo Burnham and Jacob while watching this movie. But Bo Burnham gets sick during the movie because he's got a really light stomach, and Jacob and Bella have a little bit of a private time, and they talk. And their little talk is about how Bella is using Jacob as kind of a rebound, but she doesn't exactly say that, but it's definitely implied. And for some reason, Jacob is okay with that. He's like, oh, word, like, I get it. And Bo eventually interrupts his heart-to-heart after coming out of the bathroom and being like, hey guys, I just vomited, I'm gonna leave. And then Jacob immediately switches and is like, hey, I'm gonna beat you up.
I'm fucking pissed.
I'm actually gonna threaten you because you just ruined my night.
Want me to put you in the hospital?
Which is like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, the script completely flipped from like sweetness to just evil. And it's clear that Jacob has like bipolar syndrome, but we don't really know what brought upon this like weird switch in emotions, because really, like, truthfully, even if he just had a switch of emotions, that was completely out of pocket. Like, truly, there was no threat wrapped up in what Bo said. And then Jacob immediately leaves, and then Bella calls his father and is like, hey, where is Jacob? Like, I haven't seen him in a couple days. And his father's like, oh, well, he's got mono, so you can't see him at all. Which is like, oh, Bella, you just got ghosted a second time. Bella, you have a bad streak. You've been losing your munches left and right. The war for your box is currently being lost on all fronts. Like, truly, I don't know what to say for you. Like, I don't know how to make yourself feel better, because truly, every man that you've been pining after has left you. And maybe you need to start looking inward. And you know what? I'm just going to take a break, because after seeing Bella get ghosted over and over and over again, I'm a little bit tired. We'll pick this back up later. Actually, for me, tomorrow, but for y'all, like, in a minute, because you know what? I'm done. I'm done with Bella. You're pissing me off. Anyway, see you in a minute.
Found your house. I just want to talk. What, you scared of a little conversation? Where you at?
Okay, guys, I'm back. Let's get back with the recap. So after Bella is ghosted a second time, she decides to take life into her own hands and pulls up to Jacob's home, where she gets to see Jacob out in the middle of the rain with his shirt off, most definitely not showing signs of mono. Also, he's got a low tape of fade.
Imagine if Ninja got a low tape of fade.
And the same tattoo that the boy band has, so I guess this frat boy transition was an initiation ritual into the boy band. So I guess our boy joined a Magic Mike troupe. I'm a little bit confused. What's happening, Jacob? Please give us answers. You're starting to freak me out. Freak me out more than Edward did. Also, after Bella makes this entire trip to go see Jacob, he literally is like, just go away. I don't want to see you anymore. Go away. And then he also reveals that he knows that the Cullens are vampires. So something fishy's going on here. And to recover from this blow to her ego, Bella decides she's going to run away until she finds the same prairie she was in at the beginning of the movie. And once she's in that prairie, she's discovered by one of the vampires in the first movie. And this vampire reveals that he was sent by the redhead in order to find out if Bella was still underneath the protection of the Cullens, aka he wants to suck her. But right as he almost kills Bella, two insane things happen. One, Bella drops the bar.
Edward, I love you.
Oh, Jacob was really just a side piece. Jacob was just a rebound. What the Bella. And then the second thing that happens is it looks as though a furry convention was just let out because a massive squad of wolves tramples said vampire. Right. No, right, because that would happen. So that just happened. Cut to Bella breaking into Jacob's home, where she eventually sees that Jacob is asleep, so she finds the boy band and she slaps one of them, essentially transitioning him into a werewolf. Yes, the liberals are forcibly transitioning our little boys into werewolves, and Bella is one of those liberals.
So why do good girls like bad guys? I have this question for a real life.
Just kidding, I don't want to end up on Fox News. These boys are actually really bipolar and they can turn into werewolves. So this alternate version of One Direction is just a pack of werewolves.
Oh, it's what you do to me.
Then Jacob comes in and saves Bella from the werewolf, and this movie is giving full furry fantasy vibes. Like, this is eating down. Like, this is the Omega verse. I'm eating this up. This weird, corny, freaky. It's stupid. What could I say? But then the Nile who ran of the group drops the bar, gets the wolves out of the bag. Corny motherfucker, horny, corny, tomato, tomato. I don't give a shit. This is so stupid. Like, who wrote that line? And I guess the fight was enough to prove that Bella could handle the truth because they let her inside the house, where they reveal that Jacob was underneath a gag order. And that basically means he wasn't allowed to tell her the truth. So yeah, I guess the wolf is out of the bag. Along with that, we get some werewolf diversity training where we find out that werewolves can actually hear the thoughts of their squad members. And along with that, we find out that there is usually an alpha male to this Magic Mike troupe. So yeah, this is literally giving QAnon red pill shit. It's a little bit weird. I'm not loving the vibes of the werewolf troupe, which I do have to point out. Are there any girl werewolves? Like, is there a ginger snap to this thing? Because I want to see some girls in this movie. Where is the feminism? Has feminism not reached the werewolf community? Thoughts. And once this education session is over, Jacob and Bella go out to the beach again, and they have a little bit of a conversation where Bella's like, hey, you guys kill vampires. What the is up with that? And Jacob's like, well, we only kill vampires who try and hurt humans. We would never touch the Cullens because they're like kind of nice, I guess. And Bella's like, oh, thanks, Pookie. Wouldn't want you to hurt Edward. And on top of that, Jacob's like, all right, I'm going to ignore that you ever mentioned Edward in my face again. He also reveals that him and his boy band are going to be protecting her from the evil redhead for the time being. So yeah, I guess that's good news. We then cut to said redhead following Bella's father and his partner in the middle of the woods. When the redhead eventually gets up to said partner, almost grabs him, and then she gets tackled by a werewolf. So I guess Jacob's doing his job. He followed through with his word. We love a man who actually follows through. And while this diva is being slaughtered by the furry community, Bella's off on another adrenaline junkie side quest, aka she's getting ready to jump off the cliff like the boy band was doing previously. But Bella's doing something different. She's actually in her full Tumblr getup because this girl does not play about fashion. So she's gonna jump off in a curnty way. Proud of you, Bella, for that one. At least you stand on business in one thing. But then we cut back to the wolf chase, and the ginger actually escapes by jumping off a cliff. Ooh, Bella, you better not be going in that water, especially on your period, because one drop and she will smell you. She will smell that tuna box from a mile away. But Bella moves forward with jumping into the ocean, fully clothed, by the way, and she somehow doesn't hit any of the rocks, and she somehow doesn't freeze to death. So I guess that's a good thing. But while underneath the water, she eventually sees that the ginger is swimming towards her, so Bella swims backwards and then hits her head onto a rock and knocks herself out. Ooh, Bella, you're gonna die down there. Peter, you're gonna die in that stupid costume. Our girl she's not looking too good. In fact, when she's drowning, she sees the face of Robert Paddington. Yeah, I know y'all like when I said Robert Paddington. You thought it was funny, didn't ya? But just in the nick of time, Jacob grabs Bella's scrawny ass and takes her back to shore and resuscitates her, so she's alive. And here Jacob admits that he's worried he's gonna have an emotional outburst and hurt Bella, which I'm like, okay, what is up with the romanticization of abusive men in these movies? Like, genuinely, we have Edward who wants to suck the blood out of her, and then Jacob who's worried he's gonna beat her. Like, where's the appeal? How are these men causing snail trails worldwide to the likes of which we'd never seen before?
Boy, it sure is chilly here in Kentucky. Send this video to someone you want to see completely naked.
There is nothing happening in me. Like, absolutely no biological reaction has ever been elicited from this movie. I'm actually biologically repulsed by these men. And once Jacob brings Bella back home, we see Carlo's car parked right in front of the Swan residence, so we're all like, oh, this is a trap. But Bella does not care. Bella actually is itching for some friction, so she runs right into the home, and we're like, oh, is gonna die. Gonna get murdered, and we're not really actually that worried for her because she chose this. But instead of being greeted with her white boy of the month, Bella is actually jump scared by Alice, who's like, don't kill yourself, you're too sexy. What the is that? Why'd you jump off a cliff, girl? You look stupid, and now you got me thinking you died. You're despicable, you're an attention seeker, and you're pick me, and I'm gonna send you to prison, because what was that, Bella? What was that? And then the girls work it out in the remix, and they have a girls' night cabinet session. And let me just interject 1 second right now, because I think Alice and Bella would be the perfect relationship in this movie. And how did they not know that there's something fruity going on between the two of them? Because let me just tell you, the way that they're holding each other in this scene, ooh, I can smell the lesbianism from far, far away. Like, this is so Jennifer's body coded, like it's actually insane. Like, just be gay. Just be gay.
It's the neighborhood, and you are not welcome.
Guys, am I alone here? Because so far I've never seen a single thing about Bella and Alice being together, but like, those are scissor sisters. Fuck. Anyways, the lesbianism is eventually shut down by Jacob, who does a breaking and entering into Bella Swan's home. So Jacob said anti-gay. Jacob said, let's get rid of this. I don't like the gay people. And just the sight of Jacob makes Alice feel queasy. So much so that she starts pulling out the fantasy creature racism, and she pulls out a couple microaggressions. My favorites include werewolves aren't good company, werewolves have smell, and my personal favorite, I'll come back inside when you put the dog out. Oh, Alice, that's not... I didn't expect us to be pulling out social commentary with the introduction of werewolves in the Twilight universe. Anyways, cut to Bella and Jacob, where Bella gets a call on her home phone, which Jacob picks up and then hangs up. And that call is revealed to be Edward calling out to his homegirl one last time before he does something drastic. And the thing is, why is he in Brazil? Why the f is he in Brazil? I know that we're supposed to be focused on the fact that he crushed his phone and he's so depressed, but what is Edward doing in Brazil? And Bella finds out that Jacob actually blocked Edward's last-ditch effort to try and see if Bella was still alive, and then Alice comes in and reveals that Edward is actually heading to the Volturi to turn himself in, aka trying to kill himself because he wants to die since he thinks Bella is still dead. So Edward is low-key stealing Romeo and Juliet's nachos from the beginning of the movie. But Jacob does try to stop them, which is like, okay, so you're insane, you're trying to let a man die because you want to be Mr. Steal Your Girl and dive into some indie girl coochie. Girl, you're despicable. We then watch Edward walk up to the Volturi and is like, hey guys, so I committed a crime and it deserves the death penalty. Can you just like kill me? Because I low-key also want to die. And the Volturi are like, well, we hear you, but your mind reader powers, they're kind of sick, so we don't want to kill you. We also get to see Bella and Alice driving through the countryside of Italy to go to the Volturi. And I just have to say one more thing about the Volturi world building of it all. Why the are they based in Italy? If Italy is like known for being such a sunny place, why are the Volturi based there? They cannot go outside. If they go outside, they turn into fucking disco balls. Meanwhile, the Cullens low-key had it figured out because they chose Fort Washington, and Washington State literally looks like Silent Hill 24/7. So like, they're completely fine. Anyways, due to Edward's request for termination being rejected by the Volturi, he has now shifted his plans to show full frontal in the middle of the town square so that everyone will know that vampires exist, thus forcing them to kill him. Also, fun fact, the little town that the Volturi are based in is actually a town which is now celebrating the death of all vampires in the world, which is a little bit confusing, and it adds to the point of why I hate the Twilight world building. Because what do you mean the Volturi are based in a town that basically just wants them all dead? Like, that's a little bit like gay people choosing to live in Alabama. It's a little bit dumb. What's the strategy here? Like, you guys are that powerful, you could leave anytime, and yet you choose to stay? Once in the town, Bella gets out of the car and runs through a crowd of blood-soaked tampon cloaks, and then she eventually finds Edward getting ready to do his Magic Mike disco ball reveal, and she pushes him into the shade, thus forcing him to not reveal himself as a vampire, and then they kiss. Oh my god. are we really happy about them? But then the Volturi come in and cockblock the situation, which is then de-cockblocked by Alice, which is then re-cockblocked by Dakota Fanning. Yes, Dakota Fanning's in this movie, which I had no clue, but I will recognize the diva when I see her because that face card is devious. Dakota then directs the Cullens and their pet into the basement, so we're hoping that it's going to be a cute little meeting and they're not going to get murdered. In this basement is where the Volturi Council reside, and they're all really happy that Bella is alive because that means that Edward will not try and kill himself. But R, the ringleader, goes up to Bella and tries to touch her to use his powers on her, I guess, but then he realizes that he cannot use his powers on her at all, which is a little bit interesting because we're like, wait, Bella is a human being, how does she have powers that can then block other people from using their powers on her? And the vampires are very interested in this too, because they're like, we've never seen this before. But I don't know if that's true, because didn't Jasper use his powers on Bella earlier in the movie when he did that f***ass Babadook smile at her? Like, wasn't that powers, or am I just stupid? Like, did I watch this movie without actually watching it? Regardless, the vampires decide that they're going to test their powers on Bella, which actually pisses Edward off so much so that he tries to get in a fight with Dakota Fanning.
Stop! Stop it! Stop it! Stop! Stop! What are you doing?
Which Dakota Fanning drops the bar, which brings him down to his knees, and not in like a ooh kind of way, more like a oh kind of way, because he's in pain, like frothing at the mouth pain. And once Edward is on the floor, Dakota Fanning tries to use her powers on Bella, which obviously it does not end up working, so she's just like invincible against vampiric powers. It's also like, we know that Bella's family does not have magic powers because her father is a clueless cop and her mother is just like abandoning her for Jacksonville, Florida, which if you're moving to Jacksonville, Florida, there's no magic or spark in your life at all. And then Bella just decides that she's gonna surrender and is like, just kill me instead, like I don't care, like do not hurt Edward at all. I know he's being a little bit of a freaky right now, but like you can just kill me. Then they finally land on the idea of, let's just turn Bella into a vampire, which is like, couldn't we have done that earlier? Like, it's not that hard to turn someone into a vampire, we know that. And also, like, if it's either death or turning her into a vampire, and she clearly wants to be a vampire, just turn her into a fucking vampire. I don't understand what this rigmarole is. Like, why is everyone so chaotic about it? Just turn her into a vampire. It'll save your entire little coven of vampires, Edward. But wait, we don't actually get to see Bella turn into a vampire in this movie because Twilight loves to edge the fans with the idea of Bella turning into a vampire, because Alice is like, hey, I've seen the future, and the future has Bella becoming a vampire. And after all that chaos, they just kick the kids out and give them the ultimatum that Bella has to eventually turn into a vampire. So
kind of freaking out right now.
was it ever that serious? And once back in Forks, Washington, Bella is immediately grounded for life by her father because her father's like, hey, where have you been? And honestly, it's quite reasonable that he grounded her for life because the has been doing impromptu vacations left, right, and center. Like, she went to Phoenix, Arizona with like a tiny bit of consent from her father, and then she boards a plane to Italy without any consent from her father at all. Like, this girl is a horrible kid. And honestly, if her father was any more religious, he would have sent her on a wilderness retreat. Like, this girl is a problem child.
Where you at?
I'm in North Liberty.
Doing what?
I'm at Asher's house.
Your mom's on her way to get you.
Okay.
And she's lucky that her father is that nice to her in this movie. Eventually, the Cullens host a vote on whether or not they should turn Bella into a vampire, and the votes go as follows. So the votes for Bella being turned into a vampire are Alice, Jasper, the weird hunk Rosalie boyfriend, Edward's mom, and Carlisle. And the votes against Bella being turned into a vampire are Rosalie, because she said that she wouldn't have done it if it was her choice, and Edward. So I guess Bella won Total Drama Island and will become a vampire, so that's cool. But the thing is, to be nice to Edward, she pushes it back to after graduation, and on top of that, she requests that Edward be the one to do it. And after this little discussion, Jacob pops up and is like, hey, so you actually can't turn Bella into a vampire because according to the treaty between werewolves and vampires, you cannot bite a human. So that also includes turning a human into a vampire, and that also includes Bella, even if she consents to it. And now this is some freak shit, because now Jacob is demanding that Bella doesn't lose her metaphorical vampiric virginity, all because of some stupid treaty, which I find quite stupid. And to this, Bella says, don't make me choose because it'll always be him, referring to Edward, which is like, oh, Bella, don't do that. That's, And here Edward says that she's got 3 years until she becomes a vampire. So he just pushed it back even further. And I'm like, whoa, dude, like, you're gonna make her wait 3 years before you pop her cherry on her neck? Like, genuinely, that's torture. She's gonna have blue balls. She's gonna have blue neck. Like, No, get it over with and do it now. Sir, this girl is itching for friction. And his one condition for turning into a vampire is that she must love him forever. And then he drops the bomb.
Marry me, Bella.
And then the movie ends. What the f***, sir? That was not the mic drop you thought this was. Marrying is like a death sentence. And on top of that, it's forever? Ooh, no, I'd kill myself. I'd literally kill myself. What do you mean I have to love you forever? And also, you just ghosted her for like 6 months, and now you're pulling up and being like, all right, I want your heart. I want to marry you. Who are you? Maybe I want Jacob back. Maybe I might need Jacob back.
And I am no longer a virgin.
Anyways, that was the end of my Twilight New Moon movie recap. Thank you so much for watching. This one took a while to make, obviously. I love that everyone really liked the last Twilight movie video, and I'm probably gonna do the whole series now, so thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. Like, please, it would really help me out. Like, honestly, it'd be so good. Thank you so much. Subscribe, like, watch my other videos, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.